global. Why? Because this is an answer to almost everything. Very exciting company, and it's not science fiction. These guys just got another injection of $160 million. They're based down in New Mexico in the US. They just got approval from the EPA in the US for their fuel, and they just signed a partnership with Audi to go test the fuel. Go and take a look at these guys if you want a bit of inspiration about game changing. So how's that for a bit of good news just to kick it off, right? Pretty good? Make you feel a little bit better? Makes me feel good. Thank you. So in this picture, the car you see on the left could easily be charging from the pavement you see right next to it. And the technology I'm going to use just to sort of talk about this is high temperature superconducting cable. It's simpler than it sounds, because superconductors are super good at conducting. That's pretty easy to remember. You don't have to go back to your high school physics for that one, right? Super good at conducting electricity. So good, in fact, that there are zero losses. There is no resistance, zero resistance in superconducting cable. Why does that matter? What can we do with that stuff? Well, it matters because renewable and sustainable energies today are completely unreliable. So this year, for the first time, using superconducting cable in a switching station in New Mexico, we are, for the first time, connecting the 3 major electricity grids in the United States and starting to switch electricity between them. And over the course of the day, I got a bunch of demonstrations about this and that, what's coming a year away, 2 years away, here's where we think we can go. They said, Bruce, come in this room and sit at this console. We want to run a little experiment. And the console I sat in front of, I took a photo of it. It's the top right-hand photo on this chart. And they said, get your mouse and click on one of those blobs and start dragging it. And as I clicked on this grey blob and started to drag it, next door this was horrendous noise started up. Clanking, grinding noise. Sounded like a Sherman tank was coming next door. They said, you know what you're doing? Next door is a scanning tunneling microscope. It's as big as that room. They showed it to me afterwards. And every time you click on a blob, you're picking up an atom, an individual atom, and you're moving it and placing it somewhere else. So there are my 3 atoms that I got to play Lego with. Very profound. The reason they did this party trick, and they made global headlines doing the same thing in 1990, so some years later it was a party trick for visitors, right? The reason was, they explained, they wanted me to understand that manufacturing, when it comes to IT, manufacturing the stuff that powers your products, isn't about 45 nanometer chipsets and 20 nanometers. They're working with atoms now. So you will get all the processing power in a facility like that today into something the size of a packet of playing cards sometime in the next 15 to 20 years. Well within the 10 years ahead, well within the next decade, you will see programmable objects that can change shape. Basic ones, no smarts, but think of the design studio here. But the real disruption's yet to hit, and it is, of course, about 3D printing inside the factory, inside the production chain, 3D printing done by the Audis and by the other manufacturers. Also called additive manufacturing, because it's about adding layers of material. And it's not about plastics, it's about metals. So here's 2 screenshots of objects being manufactured in titanium with 3D printers. The one on the right is a turbocharger impeller. I can't think of anything that needs to be put into a more harsh environment than a turbocharger with all that heat flowing through it. This stuff doesn't appear on the news. This is a game changer. It is a fundamental game changer, because where they want to take it is to print multiple types of living tissue, which you find in organs. Skin is a very simple organ. They can do that today for skin grafts. They can't quite do this today because a kidney, as you see with a cross-section, has multiple types of structures within it. They're not at that complexity level yet, but they're going to get there within 5 to 7 years. And then they want to do hearts, and then they want to keep going. In fact, ultimately, they want to do what you see in the bottom right-hand side of this slide. They want to actually print skin directly over an open wound for a burns victim. Do you feel a little bit more positive about where things are going? Thank you. Very good. And you see some new opportunities that you maybe didn't see before in terms of those industries that you deal with. Is it bigger than you thought? Yes, thank you very much. You will change the world and you will make your mark, and you guys have an important part to play. So thank you for sharing it with me for that 45 minutes.
I found the whole thing quite fascinating.
Well, Bruce did a fantastic job at going the whole spectrum of all the different really innovative things that are going to change the world.
One thing I really liked was the innovation in the automotive space, or the way atoms can be programmed.
I had no idea that you could print off solar panels. That is amazing, and I think that is something that will change our world.
Finally, we are receiving some good news that can help us in our life.
Thanks, Bruce.